And a very good evening to you coming from Guyana. Very good evening to those of you who are joining us from in Guyana, those who are joining us outside of Guyana, wherever you are. If you are as far as Europe, good night. Good night. And if you are in the United States of America, Canada, good evening. Good evening. And the wider Caribbean, good evening to you. Those of you who are farther afield, good night. Good night. Tonight we focus on Mocha, Arcadia. Demolition of people's homes in that village. Last night as we were on, I didn't realize at that time that there was a standoff between the police and the Ministry of Housing on the one hand, and the people of Mocha, Arcadia on the other hand. Some of you may say, well, Dr. Hines is being very correct tonight, Mocha, Arcadia, because for most of us it's Mocha. Mocha. Same place, Mocha, Arcadia. And in our Guyanese language, we say Mocha. Mocha, same place. Welcome to Politics 101. Good evening to the people of Mocha or Mocha, Arcadia, there on the east bank of Demerara. I remember as a little boy, so I have a lot of excursions from Buxton going into that village, and they used to plant a lot of pineapples going in to Mocha. There are lots of houses there now and so on. But as a boy, when I would go with my aunt to excursions from Buxton to Mocha, they used to plant a lot of pines there. And so it's one of those ancestral villages, one of the villages that is very much part of what we call ancestral lands, African Guyanese ancestral lands. Land is, of course, very important. At the time of independence, the Amerindians made sure that they got title, control of a considerable amount of land, and quite rightly so. African Guyanese had come across the Middle Passage against their wishes, and they had humanized the coast, and they bought lands. They were not given lands, they bought lands. And those lands are what we refer to as ancestral lands. Our ancestor navel string buried there. The blood and the sweat and the toil of our ancestors drench those lands, the lands of the coastland, whether it's Victoria or Denhamstel or Mocha, Arcadia. The blood of our ancestors drench those lands. We call them ancestral lands not because we are joking, but because the burden that our ancestors carried for more than 2 centuries, the burden is printed on the faces of those spaces. That's why we call them ancestral land. They were not given to us, we bought them. And so, as I watched last night, government vehicles already demolishing some houses, that women, black women, laying on the ground to prevent the machine from continuing its demolition work. I cried. I cried because I come from a village where women, more than a century ago, had to throw themselves on the train tracks to stop the train that was transporting the governor, the British governor, and to get him to pay attention to what was going on in our village more than a century ago. And as I watched those women lying there yesterday, I remember my own mother, my own grandmother, my aunts, those who lay down so that I could be here and you could be here. And I'm rattled that in 2022, women have to be lying on the ground to prevent the government from going to demolish their homes. I watch as children in their newly pressed uniforms coming home from school and having to witness their homes and the contents of their humble abodes lying in the open space, not as symbols of anything that is positive, but as symbols of the apartheid state that our country has become. As I looked at those little children, I remember my own childhood, the horrors that I saw, the horrors of poverty. I didn't see the horrors of demolition. But here those little children, my children and grandchildren, having to watch as the stranger, the strange invader, comes to demolish their homes. They have to watch their mothers lying on the ground, on the earth, to prevent further demolition. I shed a tear. And I recommit myself, if not my age, not to give up this struggle. I wish I could say it is the struggle of the working class or the struggle of Guyanese. And maybe somewhere I will have to say that. But not for the first time. I have to say it is a struggle of the black man, the black woman, the black child. Having to bear the burden once again of an uncaring government, a cruel government, coming into their communities using the force of the state to lick down their homes. Oh, as I think of the 42 and 43% poverty in our land, I ask, why are they doing this to the black man, to the black woman? Not because I don't have the answer. I know very well why they're doing it. But sometimes I think our own people pretend they don't know what is happening to the African in Guyana. I watched last night, and the anger boils in me today. Righteous indignation, because I know in my hearts of hearts we do not deserve this. And today, as I called the member of parliament to ask her to come here tonight to talk with us, in the middle of our conversation, she said, Dr. Hines, hold it for a minute. And when she came back on the line, she said, they are in Mocha again, ready to demolish. The people had pushed them away last night. And today, as the rain drenched the coastland of my country, the demolition force returned to put my people out into the elements. I'm an indignant, angry black man tonight. As I watch the Indian mayor of Georgetown not feeling or searching for words, pleading the black cause and saying this is racism. It is racism. And black man, black women, every African Guyanese must say it out loud and clear. We've played around too long. Welcome to Politics 101. Welcome to Politics 101. I'm not in a mood tonight to play around. Welcome to Politics 101, wherever you're joining us from. We have reached that point. We have reached that point. Somebody accused me this morning of not telling people what to do. And part of the reason that I don't tell people what to do is because I know people know what to do. That I do not hold the answers to our questions, the answers to our problems. I have no monopoly on wisdom. And I dare not tell people who every day feel the whip of the slave master. I don't insult them by telling them what to do. It is not that I don't have a view of what should be done, but there's a time and place for everything. What has the African done in 2022 to deserve the whipping that he and she and their children are getting? Tonight, I speak as a black man, as I do all the time, but tonight I do so without any plasters, without any glasses on my eyes. I too come from that nigger yard that is being assaulted in Mocha, Arcadia. And I have no shame tonight to say to black people, get up and defend yourself. Get up and defend yourself. Yesterday, it was Mocha. Today is Mocha. Tomorrow, it's going to be MacDoom and Agricola. And the next day, it's going to be Strathville. And it's going to be Victoria. It's going to be Belladrum and El Dorado. It's going to be Queenstown and the Essequibo. And God forbid, it's going to be my own village, Buxton. Get up and defend yourself, people. Not in 2022. Should we be tolerating government sending machines to mow down our houses? They did so in Linden earlier last year, and we murmured. We shall murmur no more. We shall murmur no more. We should murmur no more. And I'm not going to ask you to murmur anymore. Our problem will not be solved by an election. I've said, and I'm saying it again tonight, for elections to make any sense, we have to go to those elections as equal human beings, endowed with the same qualities that the Master, the Almighty, endows on human beings, endowed with the same ancestral power of others, endowed with the same mental capacity of others, endowed with the same labor power as others. My God, why are they doing this to us? I ask, not because I do not know the answer. I know the answer. We have reached that point. The apartheid regime in South Africa, when I was a child, when I was a boy, when I was a young man, I would look and see them mowing down homes in the townships in Johannesburg. We are not emerging as an apartheid state anymore. We are a full-fledged apartheid state. As I watch and I see black policemen trying to tell their sisters, their mothers, their girlfriend to get out of the way, my stomach churns. I understand that one of the policemen was telling the driver, black men, telling the driver to run over those women. Oh my God. What have we produced in 2022? We've always had some of the house slaves. We have always had some who always do the bidding of the enemies, but to watch them working out their mouth, a mere corporal or sergeant asking his own people to return to the slave plantation. Lancelot Lane. It's a poem we used to do in Buxton. If a man want to set false standard for you to follow, to hear what you say, blow away. That poem rang and rings in my head today. If a man want to set false standards for you to follow, to hear what you say, blow away. That's what I say tonight. It's not any time to plead. We have seen too much. We have witnessed too much. We have endured too much. A few weeks ago, they went into Mocha, Arcadia, the president himself, and sought to insult the people of that village, and some people of that village cheered him on. Are you cheering on tonight to see what they're doing to your fellow brothers and sisters? Black people, stop cooperating with this government. Black people, be black. You are too damn stupid sometimes. Just for a penny. Those of you who sat there and cheered that man on a few weeks ago, you are equally responsible for those demolition machines going in there. And we have got to begin to deal with our own. They must not be able to sell us out and walk our streets with their chests up as if they've done nothing. They deserve our love because they're human beings. They deserve our love because they are of our own. But by God, we have got to show them some tough love. Those in our communities who for a little penny are ready to invite the devil into our midst. Tonight, I call down the wrath of the ancestors on you, not to shut your eyes, but to open your eyes. You all are too damn greedy. Licorice, Teacher George would say. And licorice you what? A few pieces of silver. While the gold, all of the gold, goes to the oppressors. Welcome to Politics 101 tonight. Welcome to Politics 101. Terror in our land. Oil and gas have brought terror in our land. The greed of those who hold power and the licorishness of those who are comfortable with little pennies. They stalk our land. They come to us and we accept them with open arms, not knowing that they're turning that proverbial dagger in our backs. In our backs. One thing I learned as a proud black man, that I'm not selling the pride, the dignity of my ancestors. Black people, arise. Maya Angelou said, and I rise. Peter Todd said, arise, black man, arise. Arise, black man, arise. When it's people's power, soul power, black power, arise. One lady said this morning, what gives them the authority to do what they're doing? That authority comes from their sense of their political invincibility. You're not politically invincible. Only if we reduce politics to who win and who lose. You won an election because somebody said you won and placed you there. And you interpret that to mean that you shall spit in my face. What manner of men and women are these people? They walk around and call other people racists. They fear the black specter in Guyana. They fear it, and that is why they're trying to kill it in its infancy. Oh, Brother Bob said, I shot the sheriff. I didn't shoot the deputy. I was leaving town and I saw John Brown. Every time I plant a seed, Sheriff John Brown always seek to cut it down. And as I leave town and I saw Sheriff John Brown, I shot the sheriff. And what to be must be, and let it be. Sometimes we've got to talk as human beings, not as slaves. The right to self-defense is a sacred human right. The right to self-defense is a constitutional right. Those people of Mocha did not go into somebody else's home. They did not go to Enterprise and Enmore and Port Morant to molest anybody. Are we not human beings too? I ask that question not because I don't know the answer. They say it's a rhetorical question. I ask that question to say something profound. I'm not a fool, thank God. And because I'm not a fool, I've learned not to engage in foolish talk. And those who would want to designate black people as foolish people, I will use every ounce of my native intelligence not only to refute that designation, but to urge you, my people, to demonstrate in practical terms that you are not fools. Every time you take a penny from them that you didn't work for directly, and that come in the form of bribes, you are digging a new hole in the ground for them to bury you. Yes, man shall not live by bread alone. That's what the good book says. Man shall not live by bread alone, but the Holy Ghost. Man shall not live by little pittance from the government alone, but by the sweat of your brow, the sweat of your brow in the 1700s and the 1800s, the sweat of your brow in the 2000s. Man shall not live by bread alone. I hear the argument that a man got to live and so you got to do what you do, but you don't skin yourself up for people to write you like a jackass and call yourself a man because you're not a man. If you bend over and say, take me as I am, you're a man when you watch your women being reviled and you step in and said, not today, not today. Last night I was talking about the members of parliament becoming active parliamentarians. I was glad to see the opposition leader there last night standing with its people. He was joined by a few parliamentarians. Nima Flubes, the parliamentarian from the area, Coretta MacDonald, standing firm and letting our voice becoming a measure of the dignity of black people. There were others there. You all understand Why I never stay far from my blackness. Race is not the only measure of the human instinct. Yes, there is social class. Yes, there is gender. Yes, there is geography. But in a country like Guyana, race is the ready tool to put us back where they think we belong. You too pompous black man. You too pompous black woman. Why don't we negotiate? Negotiate what? Are we going to negotiate with guns on the other side and demolition material on the other side? That's what they bring to us and say, negotiate. There were no black women with guns out there last night. There were no black men with guns there last night. There were no black people with demolition machines there last night. There were black people there in all of their soul power, using their bodies as barricades against the indecent. Who had the guns and the demolition machines? The very people who went into Mocha a few weeks before and said, we come here as one Guyana. Some people believe we black people are too forgiving. Some people believe we are ready to turn the cheek too quickly. I will never condemn us for being a forgiving people. Never. Forgiveness is a quality that is granted only unto those with conscience. 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 That's what my people have. But man shall not live by conscience alone. When you're confronted by the unconscionable, your naked conscience is not enough. Is not enough. At some point, we've got to watch them with open eyes. As they say, eyeball to eyeball. We are coming. We are coming to that sacred point. We are coming to that sacred point. We must come to that sacred point. Our cries have not been heard. Our complaints have not been heard. They've met our love with their hate. They have met our love with their hate. I love black people because we are a loving people. It's a quality that I will not exchange for anything else, but man shall not live by love alone. Woman shall not live by love alone. Our rendezvous with freedom has come again. Has come again. Don't ask me what to do and how to do. Don't ask me that. I know it. I know it. Robin Dobru, the Surinamese poet, said, I can feel it in the sun. I can feel it in my bones. The rendezvous with victory. C.L.R. James, the rendezvous with victory is nigh, is nigh. I smelled something in 2018 December with that so-called no confidence vote. And I had the time between then and the election of 2020 to reflect on where I thought our Guyana would go. I am not a magician, but I'm armed with the wisdom of our people, flowing in my brains, flowing through my blood. I saw trouble. I don't believe elections solve anything. It's my philosophy. It might be a flawed philosophy, but I never believe that. I see elections as a means to an end. And I thought that we made mistake when we were blessed with power after 2015. We made mistakes. And I said so. And I was punished by our own. They gave and they took away. They gave me 2 jobs and they took them away. Oh, Sidney King, Yusuf Guyana, when his was taken away in 1971, he said, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. But I reasoned, that I would rather struggle with those who beat me across my head because I was critical of them, my brothers and sisters. That I would rather risk the future of my people and my country in the short term with them rather than those who were eventually tossed into the seat of power. And I'm not wrong. I wasn't wrong. I've lost friends because I took that decision. Some people call it the lesser of 2 evils. I don't think that I characterize it as such. Somewhere somebody says that you've got to learn from history. And when I look at the history of our country over the last 6 or 7 decades, I came to the conclusion that at this critical juncture, if I must choose one side, I have to be careful. I did not choose the other side. Others chose the other side for us. And today, that other side has become a monster that is prepared to crush my people, to crush their spirits, to crush their sense of their material being. Tonight, I don't care who hate me, who call me a racist. I don't care. Black people, arise! Nobody has to tell us we are human beings. We know that. We don't need no law to tell us we are human beings. We know that. So when I say arise, I'm saying stand up. in your human element and push back against the guns and bombs that are being hurled your way? If the demolition machines they send to demolish your homes offend you, then you have a God-given right to offend those machines. If the uniforms of brutality come and try to push you down the holes of the plantation, if those uniforms of brutality offend you, offend them back. The Ministry of Housing sees it fit to invade your ancestral spaces and take away what your foreparents and your parents have left you. They are offending you, and you must offend them back. I ain't talking with the water in my mouth tonight. It's too much. It's too much. If Indian people and Amerindian people are visited with the same deadly force, I would have no hesitation to tell them, turn it back, turn it back, turn it back. I'm a humanist. We are humanists. We are human beings. And if the state of Guyana, offends you, offend them back. It's your God-given right. It's your ancestral right. And those of you who are hearing the words of my mouth tonight directly, share it and spread it to all the corners of Guyana. So that every black man, every black child, every black woman can hear it. Dr. King, in his last speech, before that fateful bullet took his life, he said, I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, my people, but I know that we'll get there one night. Tonight, he said, tonight I'm fearing no man. I will never, never, ever reach 1,000 of what Dr. King represents. But I shall use his words and his energies. Tonight I'm fearing no man. We've got to get back to the mountaintop, black people. We must not abandon the promised land. Let's not give up the promised land. Because that land was promised, not just by the wave of a wand. That land was promised, that promised land started on the shores of Africa as we were hauled against our will and brought to a strange land. Oh, let my people go, let my people go. Let my people go. Mr. Demolition Machine, let my people go. Mr. Police, let my people go. Mr. Installed Government, let my blasted people go. Let the words of my mouth tonight, the meditation of my heart, be a measure of the anger of our people. I can hear the rumblings from the land of our ancestors as they urge us, from that far off land. They urge us not to give up, not to surrender, not to surrender. They urge us to be a nation of people. Nation, a wedding nation. Call all the nations of Africa who have made Guyana their homeland. We call on all the nations. Stand up, erect, and push back against the walls of destruction. We have reached that point. I may have said it before, but tonight, the force of the politics of our time has made that pronouncement a living reality. Living reality. I know we have some Indian brothers and sisters on our side there. Some of them are here. And I say to you, we love you. I love you. It takes tremendous courage to stand on the other side. And if sometimes I forget to acknowledge your presence and your contribution, forgive me. Forgive me. It is not because I am not conscious of your contribution. But I'm overwhelmed often. Often I'm overwhelmed by the wickedness that is meted out against my people. I say, thank God for Mayor Narain. Thank God for the sisters and brothers of Amerindian and East Indian extraction who stand on our side and witness with us and mourn with us and cry with us. And as we prepare to fight back, we want you to fight with us. I don't have any guns. I don't have any bullets. I don't have uniforms of brutality. But I do have the wisdom of our people. I'm clothed in the garments of resistance. In the garments of resistance. I was born poor. Some were born with silver and gold spoons in their mouth. I was born with none. But through the grace of our ancestors and through the fortification afforded by my people and through the sacrifices made by our collective people, I'm here to tell the truth. I'm here to witness for the truth. Tonight I don't come for votes. I think sometimes leadership gets caught up in votes. If at some point I need your vote, I will come to you and say, I humbly beg for your vote. But tonight I'm not begging for no vote. Tonight, in fact, I'm begging for nothing. I'm standing up here as someone who has been blessed, who have been washed with the love of our people, to say, I am with you. Every time you lie on the streets, I lie down there with you. Every time I hear the crack of the whip, my blood runs cold, Brother Bob Marley. I saw and heard the crack of the whip there last night, and my blood runs cold. Tonight is the night. We have to go back under the cotton tree, and we have to sit down there with the spirit of our ancestors and plan how we're gonna take back our freedom. We must plan and beware of those who lick up the mess that comes from the posterior of power. They must not be around. Beware of them. Gang, the old woman in every village. Picnic bush got A's. Are you hearing me? Picnic bush got A's. Are you hearing me? Beware of those who come in our midst, to work for the oppressor. Black skins, white masks. That's what Brother Franz Fanon said. And that mask could be a white mask, a brown mask, a black mask. It's a mask. Beware, because they're real. Are we doomed to be at somebody's mercy? No! Are we doomed to be second-class citizens in a country for which we bled? We died? We labored? For nothing? For nothing. Are we doomed to be at somebody's mercy? No! Black people, it's not every day that one gets to this point. It's not every day that one feels the blood churning in one's body. It's not every day that we get to this point. But when we get here, we've got to let it out. I said last night that my stomach na bankos, which means I'm not storing the frustration forever. Has to let it out. One day, Congote. One day, Congote. We learn the wisdom of our people in song. One day melati, one day last. One day melati, one day last. Heavy words must be followed by heavy action. Arise, black man, arise. Brother Peter Tosh, arise, black man, arise. Arise, black woman, arise. And black women are trying to rise. They're showing us the way. I watched those women lying there in Mocha, Arcadia. I started tonight by saying I shed a tear or two. Tears not of mourning, tears of anguish, tears of frustration. Oh, but I know that those tears of anguish and tears of frustration shall give way to something profoundly human. Brother Martin Carter said, "This is my hand for the revolution." That night, there will be thousands of torches. From the hospital, the lame will come. Those who are mad will become sane for the revolution. Those who despair shall be happy for the revolution. And I myself shall be so fiercely happy that I'll make my shirt a banner for the revolution. A banner for the revolution. And the revolution is coming. It's coming because they are pushing it. They are pushing it. It's a revolution that will transform our land, that will straighten the crooked byways, that will flatten the bumpy roads. My hand for the revolution. Brother Martin Carter, this is what they do with me. Put me in prison, hide me away. Blacken the land. Stifle my breath and hope that I die. But I laugh at them. I laugh because I know tigers don't think, nor toads, nor rooting swine, only man. Just listen and you will know. In South Africa, they drink the blood of black women. In Malaysia, the heroes are shunted. They are shot like dogs. Here they watch us and lick their tongues like beasts who crouch to prey upon this land. But I warn them. I warn them like a tide from the heart of things. Inexorably and inevitably a day will come. And when that day comes, I shall come alive again. If I do not see that day, my son will see it. And if my son doesn't see it, his son, his daughter will see it. And it will come circling this world like fire. It will come to this land and to every land. And when it comes, I shall come alive again and laugh again and walk out of this prison. Black people, Martin Carter left us those words. We've got to walk out of this prison. Come alive again. The day of my son and my sons and his son and his daughter, that day has come. You say you can take the cow to the water, but you can't force them for drink. The water is right there in front of us. The water is right there in front of us. I come alive again and laugh again and walk out of this prison. Let not Let not our hearts be troubled. If must we face trouble, let not our heart be troubled. For tomorrow is promised. They say to no one, but in Guyana, tomorrow must be promised to those who stand against evil intentions. Good night. Good night. We come in peace. We live in temporary peace. And we come back tomorrow, having digested what we let out into the open air tonight, ready to face tomorrow and the next day and the next day. I call on all our leaders to come from behind the fence. Take away from your eyes the scales. And come out into the open and stand with our people. We are all we have. We are all we have. Jambo, Ndugu, good night. Kwaheri, asante sana. I move tonight to speak partly in the language of the ancestors. I'm Black. I'm proud. And I'm loyal. Forever loyal to the seed that gave rise to me.